Hello everyone and welcome back to episode number 3 of the Only Trams series. Now in today's episode we're going to be looking at fuel. Now as you know from the last couple of episodes we've been building up the town of Canterbury. And at the minute we've got good passenger connections, we're delivering food in, but we don't have any fuel coming yet. And if you remember in last episode what we did is we placed this external cargo hub on the outskirts of the town. So currently the food's getting produced and dropped off here and the delivery trams are taking that into the city. But we placed this here so that it was also in range of this crude oil well. And what I want to do in today's episode is get this crude oil from here all the way up to the oil refinery, turned into fuel here at the Louth Fuel Refinery, and then back down into the hub. And then the same trams that are taking in the food currently will then take the fuel in as well. So what we're going to need to do is actually have an extra cargo dock, if you like. Is that the terminal? Terminal's the right word, isn't it? So at the moment, it looks like we've got one for the grain being dropped off. Well, that's the food actually being dropped off, but it's a grain line. And then one for the delivery. So what we will do is have a separate cargo terminal just on this side here. So that's going to pick up all the crude oil and then take it off. And I'm just wondering whether to add a fourth. It may get a little bit busy, but I think this is the right thing to do. And this will all make sense at the end. Because what I want to do is have one line taking the oil up and then bringing it back. So that'll say go on this one. And then I want another one here for the delivery line. And then I'll set this line up so it comes in once and does food. And then the next time round it goes to the other one and does fuel. So that it's alternating between taking food and fuel, sorry. But first of all, what we're going to have to do is tram track all this route up here. So we want the country road and 25, well, I think we'll upgrade to 37 because I think these trams even do go, they definitely go above 25, don't they? Let me just double check. They do go 25, or is that only because it's on that road? I need to find that out, because that might actually hold us back a little bit. Now, the top speed is 25, so 25 is fine for now. So we can stay with the small country lane, but we want tram track and we want it to be electric. We're already electrified up to this junction. I'm not sure if I like that square. I like the character of it, but it will be slowing the route down a little bit. It looks like we've got a construction materials factory here that we could make use of at some point. Now, I want to try and avoid going through the centre of Louth, so we'll build a new road coming off here. If we can get a nice fork in the road here, I would like it. It always does this to me when I'm trying to use the curved roads. That looks nice there, like it's just sort of branched off. But do you guys get that when you're using the curved roads? It just sort of comes off at all sorts of weird and wonderful angles. Oh, we're heading down here. This could be quite a nice route down through this wooded area. And connect straight into that bridge, as long as it doesn't look awful. It doesn't, but I do want to get rid of that rock that just looks like it was in the middle of the road. Possibly that one. That road does look a little bit messy there, actually. Just as it connected to the bridge. If we bring that connection round, and then we'll bring this one in. There we go. That looks a bit more like it. And then we're going to need tram track over the bridge. I'm not sure how the trams all cope going up that slope of the bridge. We might have to keep an eye on that. And then I think we could get away with the depot over this side. And we're going to have to do this bit up to the road, and then again another depot over there, or truck stop even. So we'll go with the era truck stop again, and we'll stick with B. Now, Stephen Spry did tell me that is 1900s, I believe. Forgive me if I'm wrong again there, Stephen, but I haven't read the comment for a couple of days, so I believe he said it's 1900. I will double check again afterwards, but and we'll go for 30 metres just so we don't lose any. I don't like what it's doing to the terrain there. That we'll try and do a little bit of smoothing here. See if I don't like how it's cutting away into the terrain. We'll go for the strength and size, and I want to try and get it as much as I can lowered down towards the almost road height if possible. It doesn't look like it's really going to play ball for me, does it? We don't really have a lot of money to be playing about with this. That's going to cost us 204,000 if we do it that way. 192 this way. How much cheaper is it platform? It's about 50,000 cheaper if we have a shorter platform, so I think we'll go with that. We will need to borrow some money anyway to get the trams on board, so... And at the moment, that's not connecting into the factory, is it? I nearly made a boo-boo there. I think we're going to have to go this. I think we're going to have to accept that little indentation in the ground there just until we have enough money to fix it a little bit later on. And then we want to connect this guy in just so he's in range. About there, we'll be fine. So that should be us connected in terms of getting that fuel on. Now we can actually just use the tram depot that's over here. But we need to make sure that we can carry oil and fuel. I think it's going to be the same. It is. It's going to be the C22 here. So Robbly Bobbly was 100% correct in saying we're going to be relying a lot on these. Now these are very expensive. That's the only problem. We have four of these as $1 million. But this line should be the thing that starts making us a hell of a lot of money. We're up to 3 million there. I want to go for 8. We'll double these. And then I want to set the line up. Now what I want to do is start off from here, and I want to make sure that with crude oil wise we've always got a full load leaving. And we need to come up, it'll drop the crude oil off here, and then it'll swap that. Now it's 2-to-1 crude oil, so I'm in two minds whether to send the tram straight back and get another batch of crude. I think I'm going to, and I've not done this before, so I don't know if this will work out. But I want to go back to there and get another one. We want to go for the terminal though, the same terminal again. So we're only using that one for picking up crude. And then the second time round, we'll come up and we'll drop off again at Louth East. But this time at Louth East, we will drop off at platform 1, where we will also then pick up oil and go to fuel. So at Louth East, the second time around, we want to load the oil. You can unload everything. The first time, it'll pan itself up the first time. We don't really need for it to do that. But then at the Louth Exchange, I want to make sure that it's loading fuel and it's unloading oil. So fuel, oil, perfect. And then it'll come down, and then that means that the first one at Canterbury East, we want to be loading crude. We want to be unloading fuel the first time. And then the second time it's going to go up to Louth. We want it just to unload and collect nothing. And then going back down to Canterbury, we want it to unload nothing but load crude again. Now that seems really complicated. I just want to run through and make sure. The first time it's going to pick up an oil, and when it finishes that loop, it's going to drop the fuel off. Then it's going to go up to Louth East, and we just want it to unload and then come back to Canterbury. There we want it to pick up again and unload nothing, correct. We want it to go up to Louth East, and we want it to drop off the crude. So we'll set that to crude and pick up oil this time. Then go to the fuel refinery and unload the oil and pick up the fuel. Perfect. Okay, so we'll go TF again here for tram freight. And I'm going to call it, even though it goes all the way up to Louth, the fuel is for Canterbury. So this is going to be Canterbury fuel. I'll call it the fuel loop. Right, now they have been put onto that line. Perfect. Now, and we've already got crude oil on both sides. Now, what I want to do now is mess about with this guy. So, the first time through at Canterbury East, which is here, we are going to just tell him to keep doing what he's doing at the moment. This might mess up the oil for now, actually, so we'll set oil there again just for a second. We don't want him to ever unload anything here. But he's going to go from Canterbury East. He's going to be full of bread. Drop it off at Canterbury Sidings, where all he is going to do is unload. And then after Canterbury Sidings, going to go there. So second time, let me see. After Canterbury, he's going to come back down here again. And he's only ever going to unload here, so that's not a problem. But then the second time, we want him to come through. And we want him to go to Canterbury East. And this is where I want to use the other platform. The other terminal even for there. And on this one, I only want him to load crude. Now that that's available, we will tell him to load till full again. But now that we've got somewhere for crude, I'll take it off that first one. And all that means is that we're only going to have food on this terminal and oil and fuel on this one. Sorry, food on this one and fuel on that one. I think I messed up what I said there, didn't I? But hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to get done here, and hopefully it all works out. So we've got bread on one, we've got crude, we don't want crude, we want fuel. Oh, that's just saved it. And then in the town, both times we are just unloading. One final check, food, fuel, perfect. So what we should see, oh, we're going to have a real load of congestion here, aren't we? I'll just fast forward it to get these guys out. We are going to, while I'm here, put at least one more tram on here. We'll see how that goes for the delivery line. We're getting in all sorts of a mess now. These guys will spread themselves out after this first time round, but there we go. They shouldn't be holding each other up again now. As soon as this one's full, there we go. They've got a clean run now. They will space each other out using the factories and the refineries even anyway. So we've got this guy up here now, the oil refinery. He hasn't got a consumer yet. It should end up showing Louth as a consumer. The only thing I haven't checked is where this has been dropped off down at the bottom end here. This is in range of the buildings that need fuel. And you can see it's all this section here. And because it's right next to it, I would imagine, yes, we should have coverage there. And these guys are able to carry fuel, so there's no reason why they shouldn't. These are bringing crude up, so it's got the supply. It's just the consumers. I'm just wondering whether we missed a link here or something. Maybe not. Just double check that line one last time. So at Louth East on the fourth time, we are loading oil, and at Louth Exchange we are unloading oil and we're making fuel. So it's all set. It is all set up correctly. It might just take a couple of drop-offs to kick it all into touch. Now, obviously, the first time, this guy's going to go all the way back and pick up another load of crude. And the reason, if you didn't know, guys, why I've done that is you can see that this is one of the industries, the crude to oil, where it takes two crude. So in order for one of these trams to get a full load up to the fuel refinery, it needs to have had two drop-offs. So if every tram drops off twice before it gets filled, then they should be full. Now, obviously, the order looks like it's a little bit messed up. This one's come up here on his first occasion. But I'm not too fussed because that might kick this guy into understanding that it's got connections. What I don't want it to do is what that one's done, but I suppose it's harmless. It doesn't matter. It knows it's supplying Louth there. The only thing that isn't working at the minute is it isn't picking up that Canterbury wants this fuel. Let's just see if that happens when it drops off the oil. Sometimes it does just take that first amount. There we go. For sometimes the game works like that, guys. You'll see yourself if you play that. It just needs everything to be dropped off at each individual section of the production chain, and then all of a sudden it'll start working. But hopefully now that's going to really drive demand in Canterbury, and it should start driving growth as well. What I might do just to help Canterbury out a little bit is get some medium streets. Upgrade that to a medium street. And we'll just encourage it. Because we're now delivering fuel, this is the industrial side of town. This is the commercial side of town. I believe it was. We'll just double check that. Yes, this is the commercial side. So if we just stick a couple of roads heading off from the main runs, it should stimulate a little bit of growth and give them idea that they can grow in this direction. And we want them to grow as much as possible around this truck stop so that we don't have to alter the infrastructure at all too much. So hopefully, now that we've got that demand there, it's building to 33. It should hopefully go up to 46. Ideally, what you always want is that your production, your place of production, the industry that's carrying it out, you want to have the exact supply number that's in your town. So you can see here at the minute we've got 42. I'll just pin that and we'll just check that that does go all the way up to 46. Now, if it doesn't, there you go, we've hit 46 and Canterbury demand's in 46. Now, if you ever notice that those two are different, it's usually because this truck stop isn't covering one of the buildings one or more of the buildings that's demanding fuel. The only other thing it can be is if the factory is absolutely maxed out and it can't physically produce anymore. But now that's the second cargo chain in, guys, and I think that's going to be it for this episode. In the next one, I do really want to look at completing this passenger loop round here. I want this cool I want the cool trams going up through this wooded area. I think this would be really cool. And then down and through a little tunnel, just a little cutting through here, and then down and in. And I have, with big thanks to Robbly Wobbly in the comments in the last video, we've managed to find out how the modular tram add-on works now. So we can have the modular tram. I'll just show you quickly in case any of you guys were wondering to use it yourself. Where are we? Where's the station? I'm not sure where you find it in here, actually. Is it along here somewhere? Right, guys, here it is. It must have been me being silly and not seeing it at all, but if you go under your road vehicles, into buildings, click the little passenger icon, it's just in here. Now, as I said, we figured out why I couldn't get it to work last time, and I thought you just connect it on the road. If you see when it connects to the road at the end there, even when there is some tram tracks, if we connect it to this one, the buildings don't turn white as if it's in catchment. What you have to do is, if you see where the little bus stops are, if you like, the shelters, or along the side of the track, if you link the side of the track, as you can see now, the little tendrils coming out, the little tentacles, if you like, it connects there, and then you can see all the buildings going white. And I was thinking it was like a normal truck stop and it just connects with the road, but it's not. That isn't actually the connection to the buildings. It needs to be joined side on, which is cool, because what it means is, if we take this road as an example, if we wanted this, we can sort of pull off the road for the bus stops and it won't interrupt the traffic in the town. So I think that's pretty cool, and we're definitely going to be using that in the next episode. And we're going to bring this big passenger loop into touch then. And we might even be able to sneak in a use for this oil refinery here if we've already got tram tracks running down that way. And I've just noticed that Durham needs construction materials, and we've just tram tracked past the construction materials. So we'll have to have a look to see if we can find some stone to bring back or something like that at some point. Maybe these guys that are coming back empty that first time could bring some stone from here. Bring stone down to here, then we have... then we'd have construction materials coming this way down to Durham, and then we need something to go back again. Possibly construction materials all the way down, and then grain all the way and dropped off on the way back, maybe, something like that. I don't know, we're getting ahead of ourselves anyway, aren't we, guys? But as always, thanks a lot for joining me this episode, guys. I'm really excited about this series. How many of you are watching it is absolutely staggering and blowing my mind. If you are really enjoying the series, like I know a lot of you are, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It just helps to send that video out more, gets it more traction, and ultimately means more people get to see it, more people can get involved, and it just means the series will go on for longer. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop me your comments as always. You've been giving me some really useful information and just some really good historical facts about some tram lines. You know, there's been bits about Holland and France and all sorts. And we'll get into some passengers in the next episode, guys, and hopefully the series will just keep growing. As I say, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.